wants to exercise every day, wants to eat right every day because of heavy metals. Heavy metals are invisible particles that saturate our entire environment: air, water, food, clothing. How many of you know that much of the clothes you're wearing now have heavy metals actually woven into it? The rest of it's plastic, by the way. So if you wear polyester, nylon, synthetic clothing, you're sitting here at a health lecture emitting cancer-causing fumes into your bloodstream. And now they have heavy metals in them too. And there's heavy metals in all mainstream dry cleaning. And so up the road here you have an organic dry cleaner, whatever that means, but it's better than the heavy metal one, I can tell you that. Everything's organic now, they make more that way. And your workplace generally contain with these disease-causing microscopic pieces that enter our body and play havoc on our health. Planet Earth is further contaminated with 2,000 newly created chemicals each year. Now let's visit that. So this year, 2014, we're actually 1/3 through this year. Can you imagine that? I don't know what's happened since 1968. But bottom line is that this year, there'll be 2,000 totally brand new chemicals that were not here last year. Nobody in the world is controlling them. Your so-called Environmental Protection Agency is a joke. It's a joke. It doesn't protect you. And it's a bigger joke in China, where most industry is going on now, because they literally have 75 people in the Environmental Protection Agency in the country with 1,200,000,000 people. So you think they're serious about environmental protection? And so everything is just saturated with these chemicals. And when they come out, it's not just you have 2,000 new chemicals. They bond with hundreds of thousands of other chemicals that bond it with millions of other chemicals that create things that we haven't even invented. So now there are millions and millions of different chemicals that you're being exposed to that nobody's controlling and nobody even knows what they are. You know, chemist creates the original one. When they marry the other one and marry the other one and marry the other one, they multiply in dozens at that point. So this is what's in your body. Together with other man-made chemicals manifest tens of thousands more. Our misuse of heavy metals and thoughtless mining also introduce metal toxins into the ecosystem. Mercury is the most deadly of all toxic metals. It accumulates in our brain, heart, kidney, and endocrine glands. This can result in memory loss, anemia, heart and liver concerns, and it can melt mammalian sheaths of the nerves. Now we're going to talk a little bit about these things. And you're going to, when you really listen to this closely, you're going to think this is insane. But this is our lives. A silver filling is 50% mercury, and the Environmental Protection Agency found that one filling is enough to close a 10-acre lake.
Wow.
I had 22 silver fillings in my mouth at one point. Because my family loved me with sugar. How about yours? So when I was a kid, you didn't want to get near me on a summer day when I opened my mouth, because you would have gone blind. Unbelievable. One filling. I had 22 in my mouth. So the Environmental Protection Agency says, hey, by the way, one filling is so poisonous, 10 acres of water it destroys, but they allow dentists to still put this into you. Why? Give you some thought on that. Mercury filling started in the early 1800s, and the few dentists that used it were called quacks. Mercury in Germany is quacksilver. Now dentists that take it out are called quacks. Isn't that interesting? How did they do this? Because when I was a kid, they thought of mercury the way we think of nuclear waste. My grandmother's generation freaked out when you went near a thermometer. You go near a thermometer and they'd freak. How many of you are old enough to remember that? So back in the 1800s, they thought that's the most dangerous thing. Now, they didn't know why it was killing people. But when people touched mercury, they'd end up dead 2-3 months after that. And they knew that everyone who made hats, as you're going to see here. A long time ago, the hat makers who used felt with mercury slowly went insane. So if you didn't die, if you used a little bit of mercury, they used to make all hats with felt with mercury with it. All of those guys went insane. Can you imagine saying to your child, I want you to be a hat maker? I guess if you really didn't like your child, you do that. But the fact of the matter is, they don't only let it be in mercury fillings. Now listen to this. They put it in adhesives, air conditioning, fabric softeners, floor wax, cosmetics. You can put it right on your skin. It goes right in that way. Seafood, laxatives, and tattoos. What's up with you young people putting tattoos all over your body? I used to be like drunk guys when I was young. Lead is contained in paints, insecticides, pottery, toothpaste. Now tell me why commercial toothpaste would have lead in it when we know it reduces IQ. Plastics, gasoline, batteries, newspaper. Well, they're going out of style at least. Canned foods, chocolate, etc. It accumulates in the brain, liver, bones, kidney, and spleen. It can alter behavior and intelligence. A fractional little speck of lead can reduce your IQ 10 points. So a lot of you would have been a lot smarter, especially the older people here. They didn't put lead in all of the gasoline and all of the paint. A lot of you live in older homes in New England. Guess what? That hasn't been taken out. They took asbestos out, but not lead. Nickel can be found in stainless steels. Oh, I only cook in stainless steel. Great way to get nickel. Pots and pans. Dental fillings. So it's not only mercury, it's what? Nickel. Accumulates in bones, kidneys, sinuses, brains, and the immune system. Chronic nickel toxicity could lead to skin conditions. So there's a small percentage of people, everyone who has psoriasis and eczema on the Hippocrates program gets better. And there was a small percentage until I learned this that weren't getting better. Then once we learned this, we were testing for heavy metals. Guess what? 90% of them, once we got them off the nickel, or not off the nickel, but from arsenic, is in cigarette smoke, laundry detergent, beer. This wipes out New England, your beer and seafood. Drinking water, wine, or the affluent here like the wine. Cloths, and wallpaper. It accumulates in the liver, kidney, etc. Now, the one time I had massive sympathy for Baby Bush when he first became president is when Baby Bush was told that 2,500 Americans were dying from arsenic poisoning a year. And he was so perplexed. This was like a week after he took over the presidency. And he came out, and I remember that one thing on television. And he said, well, I don't know what we're going to do about it. And he was honest. What are you going to do with it? Arsenic is everywhere. And they're saying we killed 2,500 Americans. God knows how many really died from arsenic poisoning. Cadmium is found in soft drinks. How do you like that? Pesticide, fungicides, plastic, rust proofing, rubber, cigarette smoke, water softener, and accumulates in the kidneys, prostate, and eyes. 78% of the men tested had cadmium poisoning who had prostate enlargement or prostate cancers. Uranium can cause cancer and birth defects. Since Hiroshima, Chernobyl, and now recently Japan, this toxic radioactive dust ends up in all of us since we all share one atmosphere. As the number of X-rays and CAT scans performed on people have soared, these imaging tests now are responsible for about 50% of the radiation in North America. In 1980, it was 15. So all of you that are worried about Hiroshima, get over it. Worry about going to the dentist and getting X-rays, going to the doctor and getting CAT scans. Because this is a hardcore statistic. That 50% of the radiation you get are not from the insanities that we know about. It's from going into a doctor. And why they do more testing is for less liability. One of the ways that lawyers were able to win in courtroom, they say, well, he didn't really test her. She didn't really get tested. So they over-test you. Plus that, many of the doctors have what? Association with the testing center. So it's kickbacks. Aluminium or aluminum is used in water filtering. Let me give you that. Almost 90% of water filters, and a lot of you have water filters that, by the way, don't work, because they don't take out pharmaceuticals, and they don't take out plastics. You could have paid $10,000 and they don't work. I'm telling you now, because they're so small, plastics and pharmaceuticals, they're protonic. An atom is 99.99.99% nothing. Protons are smaller. Okay? They go right through all of this stuff. But listen to this. That's called folication, to remove dirt, which it also does to our blood, causing strokes and heart attacks. So here you are thinking you're doing the right thing for your family and you, putting aluminium-rich water filters in that really don't take out the worst things that we take out, but what it does is help to precipitate heart attacks and strokes. And by the way, I'm going to ask you to challenge anything I say today because you're going to lose. I don't basically ever say anything that I can't back. I don't have to. There's so much data and information. I just wish I could stay up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's so much information coming out now, it's just overwhelming at this point. Questions later. Accumulates in our bones, kidneys, and breasts, causes anemia. So a lot of anemic people that you see may have been health-minded people drinking out of their water filter. It is found in deodorants that glue our sweat glands so toxins cannot get out. That could lead to breast cancer. Aluminium in pots, pans, and foil can cause Alzheimer's. My poor little grandmother, the last 10 years of her life, she sat there, didn't know who any of us were. And she was just so happy. I remember the day when my grandfather, who was a bridge painter, that's how he made his living, he painted bridges, came home from Woolworths with a whole set of aluminum pots and pans. She actually cried. "Oh, Danny, thank you so much." So every single day, she ate out of those aluminum pans. And we always had leftovers, as they call it. And what do we put the leftovers in? Aluminum foil. And so, how many of you ate those TV dinners when you were growing up? On God, those TV dinners, they always made me eat that crap. I mean, I ate nothing but crap, but that was even worse than crap. I don't know what that was. Everything would stick to the bottom of it. But I'd eat it anyway because they wouldn't let me eat that thing unless I finished all that other garbage up. It was supposed to be apple pie, but it tasted like metal. It would stick to my fillings. Remember that? Like, oh! But I'd eat it anyway. It was sweet. I had to get some of that. Now look at this one. This is a scary one. Toxic man-made elements are very difficult to get rid of because they become part of our body at a cellular level. They look like familiar minerals, so the body tries to use them like a nutritional element. So get what I'm saying to you here. You all following me? If not, stop. So we couldn't figure out why it was so incredibly difficult to get these metals out of your cells. Because when they get into the cell, they become your liver, your heart, your kidney, your brain. They actually become part of it. And now when we figured this out several years ago, not we, but the science community figured it out, that when you lack selenium, how many of you here lack selenium? All of us. You're not taking the selenium supplement. You're lacking it. It hasn't been in soil for 200-300 years. And yes, if you're in Connecticut along the coast, it was in the soil. If you grew up in the Midwest, it was never in the soil. So this is why we have mostly thyroid problems today, going out of style, because of long-term selenium deficiency. So we all lack it. And when your body needs it, when mercury comes in, it looks like selenium. Isn't that scary? When you need calcium, and not too many need calcium. Women, listen closely. I'm a science guy. I test people with the most sophisticated nutritional tests available. I've tested thousands of people. Only 1 out of 125 women lack calcium. It is completely an absolute con when they tell you you need calcium. It's only 1 out of 125. If you listen closely, every once in a while your government is forced to tell the truth. Last Christmas they told the truth. Get off calcium supplements. If you're taking calcium citrate, it is made out of ground up oyster shells, or worse than that, carcinogenic, cancer-causing chalk. And why? Because when they did studies on it, people who took their calcium, like good little girls, had 3 times more strokes than people who were not on calcium. Because it does not digest. Where do you get calcium from? Where do they find calcium? It's called a green leafy vegetable. Where does an elephant get it from? Where does a horse get it from? I mean, how does a horse run as fast as they do? Little skinny legs like that, giant body at the top? Gorillas, where do they get it from? Where have I got it from? Where does every person who we put on the diet and test get it from? Nobody ever has a calcium deficiency on our diet. Impossible. Zinc, really important. You don't have enough zinc, men's prostates go south, women's breasts go south, your hair falls out, and you get more colds, flus, and infections. That's how important zinc is. And only about 20% of the population lacks zinc, and it's not constant. I usually see zinc being lacked. If the 20%, it's on and off. I'd say maybe 10% are hardcore, the other 10 are on and off with zinc deficiencies. But cadmium, magnesium, something we need a lot of because it's a what? Anyone know what magnesium works for in your body?
Everything.
Yeah, muscle. Muscle relaxing, and the most important muscle is your heart. It looks like aluminum, nickel, and uranium. So you get radioactivity in your body, your cell eats it because it thinks it's magnesium, an extremely important one. Inherently, we get magnesium from the green leafy vegetables, but the top would be almonds, but you can't eat American almonds We have to get our almonds either underground now, out of California, or from Italy. Isn't that ironic? We have to buy Italian raw almonds to bring into this country, because you can't get American raw almonds, because you guys are being screwed, you don't know it. This even makes me more angry than everything else. Toxic clothing. 8 out of 10 common baby products contain flame-retardant chemicals that could cause cancer and brain damage. I agree, because I see it. Duke University agrees too. The 3rd highest rated medical school in the country at this point. And I have never found a country, and even countries I admire in Scandinavia, that really do care for their citizens. They really, really do care for them there, and they care for the environment. They all have laws that mandate you have to put deadly chemicals on infants' clothes. Now think about how incredibly corrupt this is. The only thing it profits is the petrochemical industry. Because surely if a flame gets that large, you think fire retardant on clothing is going to protect that child? I mean, it's insanity beyond belief, and we let this all happen, and it's killing our children. And a lot of the so-called dyslexia and so-called attention deficit, which is absolute bullshit. There's no such thing as ADD. That's brain dysfunction. And read the work of my buddy Dr. Rattay out of Harvard. He just wrote a book on exercise and the effect that it has on, quote, ADD. And that's called Spark. He shows he puts people on, not he, but they put people on treadmills who had the typical MRI, this is ADD, the doctor Amin saying that's ADD, blah, 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 blah. Run them for an hour, nobody had those symptoms anymore. Nobody had that in their brain. So ADD is really totally different than what you've been told it is. Car seats have this in it. High chairs, strollers contain cancer-causing and mind-altering chemicals. All of this insanity can be avoided by making common sense choices. What we did with our children, and we didn't do one thing. You know, here I am, Mr. Health World, I didn't know car seats had fire retardants in it. Who would even think of that? The car blows up, the car seat's going to protect your child. I mean, I was strapping all of my children into car seats with that. And so we used to go and buy antique furniture and say, oh, we're so smart. We're not putting our children in a plastic, seat to eat. Well, but we were strapping them in a car.